Mercantilism, rather than a single unified school of thought with a specific founder like the physiocrats or classical economists, refers to a collection of economic ideas and policies prevalent in Western Europe from roughly the 16th to the mid-18th centuries. It wasn't a set of academic theories but more of a practical approach to statecraft and economic management, driven by the desire of emerging nation-states to maximize their power and wealth. Here's an intuitive discussion of mercantilist views according to the history of economic thought. The backdrop: a world of emerging nation-states. Imagine Europe emerging from the feudal era. Centralized nation-states are forming, often in rivalry with each other. Kings need money to maintain armies, build navies, and expand their influence. The world is seen as a place of finite resources and intense competition. This political context heavily influenced mercantilist thinking. Core tenets of mercantilism. 1. Wealth is gold and silver, Bullionism. The intuition: for a king, real power and ability to wage war came from a full treasury. Gold and silver were universally accepted and easily convertible into military strength. Thus, the more precious metals a nation possessed, the wealthier and more powerful it was considered. This emphasis on accumulating bullion, gold and silver, is often called Bullionism. Economic implication: if wealth is measured by gold, then the primary economic goal becomes to get as much gold into the country and prevent it from flowing out. 2. Trade as a zero-sum game. The intuition: think of a game where for you to win, someone else has to lose. Mercantilists generally believed that the total amount of wealth in the world was fixed. Therefore, if one nation gained wealth, gold, it must be at the expense of another nation. Economic implication: this perspective fostered fierce international competition and conflict. It wasn't about mutual gain from trade, but about securing a larger slice of a fixed global economic pie. 3. Favorable balance of trade. The intuition: if you want more gold, you need to sell more to foreigners than you buy from them. If you export, sell, more goods than you import, buy, then foreigners have to pay you the difference in gold. Policies. This led to policies explicitly designed to achieve a trade surplus. Promote exports. Governments subsidized domestic industries, granted monopolies, and encouraged the production of high-value manufactured goods for export. Restrict imports. High tariffs, taxes on imports, quotas, and outright bans were used to make foreign goods expensive or unavailable, protecting domestic industries and reducing the outflow of gold. Beggar thy neighbor policies. These were policies designed to improve a country's economic situation at the expense of other countries. 4. Role of government. Extensive intervention and regulation. The intuition: to achieve the national goal of accumulating wealth and power, the state needed to actively manage and direct the economy. The market couldn't be trusted to achieve these national objectives on its own. Policies. Industrial policy. Governments established state-sponsored industries, provided capital, and granted patents and monopolies to key domestic producers. Labor control. Policies aimed at keeping wages low to ensure that domestic goods remained competitive in international markets. A large, industrious population was often encouraged as a source of cheap labor and potential soldiers. Navigation Acts. Laws, like the British Navigation Acts, were passed to ensure that trade was carried on domestic ships, bolstering the national merchant marine and navy. Quality control. Governments often regulated the quality of goods to maintain a good reputation for exports. 5. Colonialism and resource exploitation. The intuition: colonies were not seen as independent entities but as extensions of the mother country, existing to serve its economic interests. Policies. Source of raw materials. Colonies were forced to supply raw materials, e.g., timber, cotton, furs, to the mother country at low prices. Captive markets. Colonies were prohibited from manufacturing their own goods and were often compelled to buy finished goods exclusively from the mother country. This ensured a continuous market for exports and prevented the colonies from competing. Prohibition of colonial trade with other nations. This further cemented the economic dependence of colonies on the mother country. Critiques and decline of mercantilism. Mercantilism eventually faced significant criticism, most famously from Adam Smith in his 1776 masterpiece, The Wealth of Nations. Misunderstanding of wealth. Smith argued that true wealth lay not in gold and silver, but in a nation's productive capacity, its ability to produce goods and services that satisfy the needs and wants of its people. Gold was merely a medium of exchange, not wealth itself. Trade is a positive-sum game. Smith and later classical economists demonstrated that trade, based on specialization and comparative advantage, could lead to mutual benefits for all participating nations. Inefficiency of government intervention. Critics argued that excessive government regulation stifled innovation, created monopolies that harmed consumers, and led to inefficiencies. Consumer harm. Protectionist policies meant higher prices and less choice for domestic consumers. Colonial resentment. The exploitative nature of mercantilist colonial policies contributed to resentment and, ultimately, independence movements, e.g., the American Revolution. The Industrial Revolution further exposed the limitations of mercantilist thinking. As manufacturing boomed, the idea that wealth was solely derived from trade or precious metals became increasingly outdated. The emphasis shifted to the productivity of labor and capital. Legacy of mercantilism. While largely discredited as a comprehensive economic theory, aspects of mercantilist thinking persist even today in forms of protectionism. Tariffs and trade barriers are still used by nations to protect domestic industries. Economic nationalism. Policies that prioritize national economic interests over global cooperation. Strategic industrial policy. Government support for key industries deemed vital for national security or competitiveness. In conclusion, mercantilism was a pragmatic set of policies born from the political and economic realities of early modern Europe. Its primary goal was to strengthen the state through the accumulation of precious metals, achieved by heavily regulating trade to ensure surplus of exports over imports. While effective in certain contexts for building state power, its fundamental flaws regarding the nature of wealth and the benefits of free exchange eventually led to its decline and the rise of more liberal economic thought.